Joining us now, we're going to bring in Patrick Watson. He's the superintendent for Bloomfield Hills School District. Great to have you with us.
Good morning. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
So bring us up to speed. The governor is hoping that all the school districts have some type of in-person learning by the 1st of March. Where does your district stand right now?
Well, kind of going backwards first, we phased our students back into in-person learning back in September. And so by the first week of October, we were pre-K through 26 back in person. And we'll be returning K-8 on the 19th of January. On the 25th, our International Academy students will go back. And then on February 1st, our high school students will be back. Now it will be a hybrid version. So we'll kind of reduce the density in our buildings, but we will be at a full return by February 1st of this year.
So I believe that before, and I apologize because we have talked with so many different districts. Now, before, were you also offering where some of the students could either come to class or be virtual? They got to pick?
Correct. So at the high school level, we're using a concurrent model where students have the opportunity to come in when it's their cohort day, or they can Zoom in. And one of the benefits of that was making sure our students were able to have all Bloomfield Hills High School teachers, and then keeping their schedule. I mean, so much has been taken from all of our students, pre-K all the way to 26 this year. It was really imperative based on the survey results. The number one thing our students wanted at the high school level was the ability to keep their current class schedule, if nothing else. And so our teacher group, kind of came forward and said, you know what? We've never been trained in this. We have no idea what it's going to look like. We don't know if it's going to work. We have no idea, but we're willing to give it a try because we know it's what our students really want. And so the teachers have done just an amazing job trying to teach in person, online, with one hand behind their back, a blindfold over their mask, sound coming, like all these things, and take care of their own family in the middle of a pandemic, by the way. So, huge kudos to all of our teaching staff at all the grade levels for just really stepping outside of the box and being willing to experiment and try things. And I think people are kind of forgetting we've asked that of our teachers. And then not only we asked it, we said, by the way, you're going to have an audience online that might include parents as you try to figure out and navigate doing something you've never been trained to do. They might be watching also, but will you still do it? Do you mind? And just to see, our teaching staff say, you know what, we'll try it. We might fail miserably, but we'll try anything that's going to help kids. And, what a great group of professionals I'm surrounded with. And I'm really thankful for that every day.
It really kind of reminds me of how I cook. Just throw it up against the wall and see what sticks, right?
Right,
If it
exactly.
sticks, you can eat it. Okay, let's move on.
Right.
But really, it does offer them a lot of freedom because prior to the pandemic, some teachers felt like they weren't able to really teach the way they wanted to because of the mandates and those standardized testing, and you have to do this and you have to do that. So this is really bringing some freedom back into the classroom.
Well, yeah, yes and no, right? Because I taught in the classroom for 16 years. Definitely want the freedom, but I want the freedom to be in person and to be safely in person and structure my classroom that way. Not do it online and in person or just online. So it's kind of stripped a little bit of those barriers, but I don't feel the staff would say they really have the freedom they want to kind of instruct how they feel is necessary, because we've kind of told them you're at home or you're in person, you get half the kids half a day with a mask on and a shield in front, and don't get too close and don't do this and don't do that. Well, we've created different barriers in their minds compared to the ones that existed.
But they do get to be a bit more creative in how they're trying to reach their kids.
Correct.
And have a little bit more fun with it, because I think everyone has learned during 2020, the old is just that old. You have to try new things.
Right. I love, popping in some of the classrooms and seeing like the Bitmojis they put together and things like that. And just the creativity with using technology to educate students. And it's become more of just part of the class, and it's the way we operate, as opposed to, okay, we're using technology right now. We've done technology, now we're moving on.
And I will say, I bet some of the older teachers that didn't even know what an emoji was prior to this, they're probably getting some pretty cool points with their grandkids.
Oh, I would imagine so. Yeah. Everyone's becoming a tech expert in a hurry, to say the least. Quick learning curve there.
Right. And so with that, it's a different year, 2021, and we have the vaccine now. Where do your team members stand in line of getting the vaccine? I know that you're in the phase right now, but have you been able to start getting some of those?
We've been very fortunate. A lot of our staff members were able to get in and schedule an appointment before the portal got overrun, shut down because there was no longer availability. That's great. Also, when the Oakland County Health Division gave out additional information about signing up for a wait list, we were able to get that correspondence from Oakland County Health Division out to our staff within probably 10 or 15 minutes so that they can sign up for the wait list, which as of yesterday, my understanding was there are over 80,000 people on that. So we're looking forward to more vaccine becoming available. I had an opportunity after the board meeting last night to listen to President-elect Joe Biden and his expectations for getting the vaccine out. I know Governor Whitmer was able to get, I believe, 100,000 additional doses that are being sent to the state of Michigan. But we've reminded our staff to keep in mind that 75% of all the doses that come into the county are going to go to those that are 65 and older. So for the 1B people that we're part of, and we're only one part of it, we only have access to what is going to amount to 25% of all the different, or all the vaccines that come in. So that makes it a little concerning how long it might take, but we're cautiously optimistic that more will come in and we'll get it done sooner as opposed to later.
So on top of this, the challenges as more students return to the buildings, we do know that in previous times when they switch classes, there are those pinch points that are in the school buildings themselves, and it can't really be avoided. How are you going to address some of those issues and trying to keep the students socially distant from one another?
Right. So K-5, we've kind of set it up so there's half days, and that kind of allows one group to come in, one group to go. We've been able to cohort them so they don't really have to transfer between different classes. 6 through 8, we have spots where they wait outside. So when one group, 6, 7, 8, there's also different transition times. So they only have one grade level in the hallway at a time. Then they have a spot to stand on before one group exits and another group comes in. And then 9 through 12, we made one-way hallways. And with the ability, first of all, we divided the school up into alphabetical by half. And so each cohort, half the student population could come into the building. Of that half, we're seeing maybe a half to a quarter actually show up, and the rest are still zooming in, even though they could come in. And then we've also created 4 lunches as opposed to lunch periods as opposed to 3. And then you're looking at about 30% of the school population in the building now divided out over 4 lunches. In 300,000 or whatever square foot building, there's a lot of room, an opportunity for students to spread out.
What goes into trying to figure out the logistics of making this a reality?
A lot of teamwork, a lot of time, and then just continually going through the scenarios. We've also been very fortunate to be able to collaborate with schools from Michigan, nationally and internationally, about some of their best practices and take little pieces of information from them and implement it to kind of come up with our own program that's going to work best for us.
Yeah, how important has it been for you to be able to connect with other superintendents across not only the state of Michigan, but the country during this time?
It's been great. I mean, we also have some international partners from Israel, South Korea, Japan, Canada, and Denmark that have really been helpful in just kind of sharing information from as little as, when students go out for recess, everyone exits out one door, and then you come in a different door, and there's hand sanitizer at both spots so that you're not commingling as you're going in and out. Just little details like that. So we've built a lot of relationships that way. And everyone's trying to learn at the same time. No one's an expert on responding to COVID. And so those partnerships have been very valuable. We're also fortunate to have a great team with our district administrators that are incredible leaders that are continually looking at ways we can improve what we're already doing.
So a lot of the focus has been on the students during this crisis, but I also wonder about the teachers and the concern about burnout amongst some of your employees during this time. What are you doing for them to try to keep them mentally stable during this time, and for them to be able to keep that enthusiasm up to get through the crisis?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is we're trying to listen to our staff and respond to what they need based on the feedback instead of trying to guess what they're going to need. The transitions are very, very difficult for our staff and for our students to come out in person, not in person. So one of the things we had early on that we approved in August was if we had to close schools and we had a threshold where we would close schools, and we did in November, that we wouldn't go back in person without a 21-day wait. Now that's no longer what we're doing because we know more about COVID, right? We also see the thresholds have been taken off from the Oakland County Health Division. The governor no longer is looking at the 4 phases. But things like that, hearing our staff say, we can't be 1 day in the building, 2 days at home, 3 days, we can't yo-yo back and forth. It's too much of a lift in putting those mechanisms in place to support. We've got a great relationship with our educational association, our union group, meeting with them all the time and just getting feedback from them on where they're at, what they need. Again, instead of us trying to guess the best way to meet the needs of our staff.
So we are still in the middle of this crisis, and here in the state of Michigan, we're still under a lot of restrictions. So do you get concerned that we'll see another surge and that some of your employees will have to go back into quarantine to the point that you'll have to shut down some of the classrooms?
That's absolutely a concern that we all have in Oakland County. And so we're trying to make sure we follow all the mitigation strategies that are out there and be as cautious and careful as possible. That's why, we're so hopeful that more vaccines are going to come in. Not optimistic they will, because we do have a lot of staff members that do want the opportunity to get a vaccine. That would provide another layer of protection for them, right? And so that's the goal, in making sure that they have that opportunity.
Patrick Watson with us here on the MegaCast. He's the superintendent for Bloomfield Hills School District. I would imagine 2021 is a little bit easier for you, though, because you have 2020 behind you. You've been through that. It's been a learning curve. Do you see hope on the horizon?
I really do. Looking at the COVID numbers now, seeing that they're coming down, knowing that not only do we have 2 vaccines right now, but there are additional vaccines on the horizon. I know the one I'm really looking forward to is probably a year away, unfortunately, maybe a year and a half. It's the one that Iowa State University is working on, where you simply would have a little vial, you sniff it, you're done, one time, one shot, that's all you need. And I know they're working on seeing what the efficacy of that's going to be. I look at hospitalization rates starting to drop. We're seeing that there are more medical opportunities or more medical treatments available for those who do have COVID-19. That's another benefit. So I do see a brighter spring, a brighter summer, and our new normal of what school year is going to look like next year, whatever that's going to be. And I'm not sad that there's going to be a new normal. I'm disappointed we've all had to go through COVID, but seeing the opportunities we've been able to create for our students that COVID has kind of forced on us, and then leveraging those things that work really well to make a new normal for school, I think is going to be a good thing. I think change is good if done in the right way.
Yeah. So what is the long-term outcome for education overall following this pandemic?
I hope it's more flexibility and choice of voice for our students, especially as they scale up and get older and older. That the idea that you need to sit in a seat for 7 to 8 hours a day is the only way you can learn is no longer what we're going to do for every student across the board. To give our students the opportunity to maybe be in the building for 3 or 4 hours, take a couple of classes online, then go to an internship and make learning more experiential so they have those opportunities, especially junior and senior year, which is something we're working really hard on at the high school level by creating these pathways and having more opportunities for students to learn at their own rate. This magic formula of 40 weeks, 180 days, 7 hours a day, magically, poof, you've learned at the end of the year. Well, for some students, they may not need 20 weeks to learn whatever topic or class. They might need 10, they might need 12, they might need 22. And trying to building in some of that flexibility and allowing students now that everyone's been online, right? Everyone's had the experience. For some, it's not a good fit. It doesn't work. For others, they enjoy the freedom. They enjoy being able to work at their own pace and kind of have more control. And for our students to have that opportunity moving forward and how we can create that is something we're all looking forward to.
I'm wondering what the conversation would have been a year ago before the pandemic, trying to propose some of these ideas of, hey, let's do hybrid. Let's offer some of the students to be remote. I don't think it would have gone over.
It would have been interesting, me being new last year and only having 59 days, including weekends, to be on the job before we shut school. My conversation was mainly, hi, nice to meet you. I'm new. Here's who I am. Tell me about yourself. So yeah, I definitely was not in that space at this time last year trying to do those things or even worry about it at that moment.
So we haven't really heard a lot from the unions during the pandemic. Does your school have a union for the teachers?
We do. In the leadership of our teachers union is phenomenal. They're great people. They're great teachers. And they really are looking out for the best interests of their students. Of course, they have the interests of the staff in mind as well. And we have a great working relationship and we collaborate all the time. So it's very important that they're in the loop on everything that happens.
And do you think that this has helped bring those sides together as well?
I can only speak for myself. I think so. It gave us the opportunity early on in my tenure as superintendent of Bloomfield Hills to kind of collaborate and work together on serious issues, right? We're talking about safety. We're talking about health. We're talking about instruction. Education is a serious business. And we've had very serious conversations. And so my goal, the goal of the district administrators is making sure they're always in the loop and that our teachers have a voice in what's going on. And they feel like they've been included on some of the decisions. Now, is everyone going to agree with every decision? Absolutely not. But you don't want people blindsided when a decision comes out and feel like they haven't had the voice or opportunity to share feedback and weigh in as far as what they see.
Patrick Watson with us here, just another minute or two on the show before we let you go. Anything that we didn't touch on that you want to add?
Well, I'm looking forward to, in the next couple of weeks, seeing the students in person. Also, we have a K-5 Bloomfield virtual program we're running, and I'll be visiting classrooms. Just looking forward to seeing our students again and looking for a time where we can all get together and, see more people face to face, and just looking forward to finding additional ways we can help our students and staff navigate COVID-19.
Do you anticipate graduation is going to be in person?
I do. We anticipate being at DTE and being able to spread out an outdoor venue and allowing our students in a safe way to walk across the stage and kind of have that experience. We did a drive-in graduation last year, which was pretty cool. I have to admit, that was awesome. But we are looking forward, and as of right now, we will be back at DTE for our class of 2021.
Oh, the students are going to appreciate that. I am quite certain. Well, Superintendent, we appreciate your time.
All right, great. Thank you.